This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday. And you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with multi-view, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action, make your Sundays more magical, and also YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
Welcome to the game. The day of the Fort 34. Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, and AJ Shaw. AJ had a surprise for me and kind of guessed it right before the show. I actually made this intro years ago for John Kurtz.
Oh,
that I understand we have a birthday today is from The Office. When Michael and Jim, they went to Hooters for lunch. And that's Michael delivered one of the most awkward lines I think I've ever heard in TV history. When he goes, "I'll have the chicken breast, hold the chicken." Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Wow.
That was the awkward Michael phase, as you can guess. That was the first couple of seasons. Yeah, welcome to the game. Yeah, it's my birthday, whatever. Actually, got a little fun in store for our second hour. I've left it a secret, actually, for everybody. I'm the only one that knows, other than one other person.
Holy cow. I mean, you even blanked it out here on the...
Kept it blank on the, I make an outline sheet for all the boys every show, and I left the second hour blank, other than ask us anything. I'd always make room for a few cues from AJ.
Oh, boy.
Do got a few things to talk about in hour number one. Gonna pump the brakes on the K-State talk. I know that's our thing, but it's been pretty heavy this week, although we will get to one conversation, and that is our 9th prediction leading up to the K-State football season. More of just an opinion, but what is K-State's swing game in 2024? That is different from a trap game. That can swing, the game that will swing K-State's season in one direction or the other. I do want to get to a baseball topic that I know that has Troy and AJ just wondering what in the world is Major League Baseball thinking with this idea.
Let's clarify. What in the world is the commissioner thinking? It's not Major League Baseball, but...
Was he not like the top representative of Major League Baseball?
He is.
For the suits?
Yeah, he is.
I just want to ask really quick, did you like your birthday surprise from me, even though it wasn't really a surprise after a few moments?
Well, I knew what was coming. I just didn't know if it was the one I made or if you had the time. You're pretty busy. I wouldn't think you would have the time to go make one.
Can I tell you how I found it at least?
You searched for birthday.
Yes. I called Troy in there yesterday, tried to make it seem like it was like a tech
Like he was
issue.
blowing something up.
Yeah. And it turns out I found that, and I wanted to know if I should play it. And I figured, well, I should play it. And, you know, obviously you figured it out. I tried my best poker face. I'm sure it was not a great poker face, as you have said to me in the past. But that might not be the only time I'm playing it here in the next few weeks.
Well, yeah, Troy's got a birthday coming up. He's also an August baby.
Oh, boy.
What day, right?
Yeah, 28.
The 28th.
Did I say I was going to play it for Troy? Remember, I have a birthday on September 11th.
I know September 11th is he was born on September 11th, 2001.
Yeah.
No,
of all days.
I likely will not play it on my birthday because that's not who I am. I don't play stuff for myself.
Well, but you should, and we definitely, when we get to that day, it's, you know, we always typically, hey, where were you? What do you remember? All that stuff about the 9/11 attacks. But I think you talked about it one time with Wyatt and I.
Yeah.
On an episode of Wildcat Insider, and you were pretty brief on that. I think there's more detail to what you were told about.
Well, I was
being born on
relatively new to
9/11.
the show too, and I didn't really want to steal anything from you guys. Probably I was not as comfortable back then, but we might get into some stuff that day. Who knows?
Well, yeah, save it for Arizona week. Yeah. Well,
we may play.
I think
Stump
it's Arizona week.
Are we going to play Stump the Shaw that day?
No.
Okay.
We will not. The last one is this Monday.
Yep, against Mason.
That's right. Rematch coming up on, because that's the one you talk about the most.
Nothing against our good friend Michael. He would kill me again because he's God. He's literally God in that game.
All right, let's wait no longer because we got to get to the major story of today. This was some major breaking news that actually just came out less than 2 hours ago. This is big. AEW's All In Globe Life Field next year. After 2 years at Wembley Stadium, first pay-per-view in Texas for AEW, and it's taking place at the home of K-State's semifinal runs in baseball, and also the home of the Texas Rangers.
The giant barbecue grill, ladies and gentlemen.
The giant propane barbecue grill.
That boy ain't right.
So how excited are you guys? Want to make a road trip? We could do the show down there, and it's in the summer, so you know it's kind of things slowed down. Of course, it's after the 4th of July.
I'm thinking, well, it's not Houston, so it's not going to be as bad, but it's Dallas in the summer.
It's going to be warm.
Yeah,
it's going to be warm. Good thing there's air conditioning.
Not that I've got any room to discuss that, given that I'm gone first 3 days of next week to Tampa.
Did you see the
same concept?
The hot Tua girl threw out the first pitch at the Mets game yesterday.
Oh boy!
I know the first question we're all thinking. I mean, she's up there on the mound. Did she spit on the baseball?
Yeah, did she throw a spitter?
She get ejected for that?
No, she didn't. But you can't put anything in the baseball anymore these days, right? But it was a nice little.
It's a first pitch.
They had her out there for the really early first pitch. Like I think at Major League Baseball games these days, maybe it's been this way for a while. But what I've noticed is they have different tiers of first pitch that they'll have during pregame, and some people throw out a first pitch 45 minutes. Before game time. And I think that's what they had her do.
Okay.
But I got to tip my cap. She has been one of the best at milking it.
Oh, God, yes.
15 minutes of fame. She's done a phenomenal job. She's making thousands of dollars. She's at all of these concerts. She's been doing talk shows. She's been doing a bunch of podcasts with comedians. Mm-hmm. She's a decent personality. She's got a personality. People have found her to be fun to talk to. She's funny. So I got to give her credit. There's how many 15 minutes of fame can you think of that have actually done a phenomenal job of milking it or are popular or liked?
And even better, she does not have an OnlyFans.
No OnlyFans.
I was going to mention that. I respect that. That she did not sell out to dirty photos and stuff like that.
I can listen, I in a way respect anybody that found a way to keep it alive, the 15 minutes of fame alive. Now, when it comes to the top two I can think of that did the absolute best with their 15 minutes of fame are the Kardashians and the Cash Me Outside girl. They're both obviously raking in the cash.
Whatever happened to her? What's she doing now that Catch Me Outside?
I think she's doing OnlyFans.
Oh, Jesus.
And I think she had she's got a rap career and
yeah, what is her name? Bad.
I have no idea.
Bunny or whatever. Bad Bunny's another one.
That's a Puerto Rican rapper, I think.
Yeah, Bad.
Yeah, don't insult him. Come on.
I'm not gonna.
He's extremely popular.
It's true. He is very popular.
He's winning Grammys at the American Grammys.
Yeah. The Latin ball players really like him. I know because they always have him as his walk-up song.
Bahad Bahabi.
Bad.
That's not what it. That's not how it's pronounced.
I know.
Bad Batty or something. I'm getting
baby. It's BHABIE. So baby. Be bad baby.
Yeah,
I don't think it is.
Yeah, it is.
AJ, get us a pronunciation. Get on the Google and get us a pronunciation. How to pronounce her name?
Yeah, bad baby.
By the way, tried Aggieville Brewing Company yesterday.
Yes.
Delicious. I'm probably at this point preaching to the choir. It took us a little while to get out there for the first time. So it is Bad Baby? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, good for her. I was wrong. I had
awful.
I had a burrito with brisket in it.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Really good.
How was the zip?
The zip?
How much zip did you have? Spice?
Oh, no, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah?
It wasn't spicy or
No, I'm
anything.
just curious.
Indeed, I know the H's there are confusing, aren't they? So it's not bad. It's just bad. And then similarly, it's not Bobby or Pobby. Baby. Yeah.
Oh.
Bad baby.
Oh.
Bad baby. Here are more videos.
Hey, shout out to that guy. I've heard him before. I've looked up some of his videos on how to pronounce things, including like looking up hometowns for starting lineups for the road team.
Right.
And
Yep.
boy, that's what that guy does. He goes into a long description on how to pronounce things.
Oh, dear Lord, she's given birth.
Oh, she has a kid.
Oh my Lord!
She can afford it.
I know. I get it.
Best wishes to that kid.
Right? Yeah, that's a Dr. Phil show waiting to happen.
All right, let's just go ahead and take a break. I wasn't expecting to get that off the rails. You see things pop up on Twitter. And
Yes.
You just can't help to bring it up.
Oh, boy.
Wonder how much they're worth.
You've been on this show long enough to know that's going to end up happening once in a while.
Because man, Dr. Phil, I bet he can't go through one interview without being asked about her. Some say created a monster. Her net worth is 25. I'm getting conflicting
$25
reports here.
Oh, sorry. No.
$25 million
Jeez.
is her net worth.
And I'm
one
working
appearance
radio.
on the Dr. Phil show. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, let's get to the big prediction for today. More of an opinion. It is the 9th of our 20 shows left, leading off to kickoff on August 31st, which started last week. Number 9 is K-State's swing game for the upcoming season, which means that game can really swing K-State's season in one direction or the other. Our picks are coming up next. You're listening to The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the game.
You gonna give me wrestling themes the whole show?
Not the whole show, but I'll do a few just for you.
It's Kurt Angle. Olympic gold medalist who won the gold medal in '96 with a broken neck.
Yep.
Back on the game, Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, and AJ Shaw. You want some real sports? Well, that's definitely real sports news with Kurt Angle. But some AJ mentioned it during the Game Sports update there that former K-State quarterback Will Howard will be the starting quarterback week 1 against Akron.
Yep.
On August 31st.
The O's versus the Zips.
Figured Will was going to win the starting job, even though there was a little bit of a battle, I guess. He was by far the better quarterback in their spring game and for pretty much their fall practice. And through the summer, the word was Will was going to be the guy.
Yep.
And I would assumed he was going to be. And he is the starting quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So congratulations to Will Howard. Then they have Western Michigan and then Marshall, pretty weak non-con. Yeah, they do not have a Power 5 non-conference opponent, does Ohio State. How about that? Typically everybody does these days. And then, let's see, Michigan State, then Iowa, and then they play Oregon on October 12th. October 12th is stacked with games.
Yes, it is. To the point that all of the discussion about weddings got brought into Twitter.
Oh, is that a popular wedding day, October 12th?
No, it's that don't you be setting your wedding for.
Well, that is not a K-State. I don't think that's a K-State home game. I think that's the Colorado game.
I believe you're right.
On October 12th. So the Cats will be on a road.
Give me a moment because I have it up.
Well,
yeah,
what?
It's the 11th is.
October 12th.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why you put it on the 11th. Nice job, Google.
Nope, the only Friday game against Arizona. Yeah. The other K-State notable news here is A.J. Dybonsta, I think is how to say his last name. He is the number 1 basketball recruit in the nation for the class of 2025. It's been a few weeks now where he announced K-State in his final 7, I think it was. And he has announced his visits. That'll start on August 30th, and that first visit will be to Manhattan, Kansas. And then at KU, and then North Carolina, Alabama, Baylor, and then BYU be the last visit. It'd be great if he was, he'll be in town for a home game. So he'll get the experience of the first home game of a K-State football season, so let's be extra loud. We got the number one kid in town, for crying out loud. We got to show off for him. So hopefully Jerome Tang and company will land him, but it's quite I think the only one on this list that's not listed here for his visits is maybe UConn. I might have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's one left off of this list and maybe just right now doesn't have anything scheduled. And but he will be visiting, according to ESPN, visiting Manhattan on August 30th through September 1st. Okay, so back to the K-State football schedule. It is prediction number 9. This one more of an opinion than any sort of prediction. I guess they're all predictions, but for K-State's schedule in 2024, what is the swing game, the pendulum game, the game that can move K-State's season in one way or the other? I think this one is a little bit more wide open for most, but for me, it's a pretty easy answer. I'm going first, AJ.
Correct, and then Troy, and then myself. You're going first because it's your birthday. No, you're going first because that's how the order.
Actually,
is
you go second.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Troy's last.
I'm going second. My apologies. I'm forgetting my own order now.
All right. It's real simple. I look at this being a home game for K-State. I think the swing game is on October 26th at home against the Kansas Jayhawks. And honestly, it may be more of a swing game for the fans than the actual team. We're all Kansans for the most part that love K-State from the area or within vicinity. We have some sort of connection to K-State. All the players don't know necessarily yet what the rivalry means, but this is a good KU team. It's in the middle of the season, and by the time you get to that game, you have played 4 conference games. You're right in the middle of your conference slate. I mean, that is the time of the year when you get to the second half of the conference slate that if you've lost a game, now you're teetering do you have control of your own destiny? That's one part of it. KU is a respectable team this year. Could they be top 25? I think they certainly could be, but a lot depends, and it's the same thing for K-State. This could be a huge matchup that just because it's a home game and you've won 15 straight, you don't take lightly. But imagine if K-State lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
That would suck. That would suck. That would hurt. Because you lose the winning streak is over. It's at home. You lose to your rival for the first time since, AJ was, how old were you? 6?
I was 6 years old.
6 years old?
No, I was 7 years old.
7 years old. When the last time KU beat K-State, AJ was 7 years old. Now he's darn near in his mid-20s.
George Bush was president.
Let's see. I was, how old would I have been?
It's 2008.
So 2008. So I would have been 18 years old, almost my whole adult life.
Yeah.
I've gone without seeing K-State lose to KU in football. That's a big game for KU as well. You lose that game, you wonder where K-State's at the rest of the year. They'll bounce back, but they don't have the toughest schedule ahead of them. It's all before that.
Mm-hmm.
So if K-State gets out of there with control of its own destiny and the KU game's coming up and something happens, the Big 12 standings is one part of that. But just, the faith in the team and, how fired up you are for the rest of the season. I mean, if you lose that KU game and you're done with the Big 12 race, the season's done. It's over. Chances are you're done. You're not going to a college football playoff. You're not going to the Big 12 championship game because we know the Big 12 is going to be pretty limited. Probably 2 at the best 3 of who's going to get into the college football playoff. I think there's potentially a lot going to be riding on that game. It's going to be a big game in the middle of the season. So, and it's a major rivalry game that KU can win. It can happen. So I think in multiple ways that could swing things for you. how you're doing mentally could be a big part of that. So I'm going to go with the KU game.
The streak is so old that it can get a learner's permit right now in most states. I think you make a good
almost
argument.
a driver's license, right?
Yeah. If we extend it this year,
Is it still a 16?
15 is learner's permit.
I know, but DL 16.
Yeah,
is it right at 16?
Yes. So, you make a great argument for KU, and I was contemplating using that for a second, but I'm going to stick with Oklahoma State. That's a big game early in the year. Kleiman has had his problems with the Cowboys. He's 1-3 against them all time since coming to K-State. Wait, let me make sure I'm correct on that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
1-3, 1-4. I can't remember off the top of my head. Did beat them 48-0 2 years ago. Obviously, it was a different Oklahoma State team, but you know Mike Gundy's going to want to come to town and get revenge for that. Kleiman's had his issues with Oklahoma State, and there's been a lot of arguments that they're second or third best team in the Big 12 this year. To me, that's a game that if you can win it, you have a lot of momentum going into the swing of Big 12 games in October and November. I think you also do make a compelling argument, though, Mitch, with KU, because if you win that game, not only do you extend the streak, you also have a lot of confidence going into the rest of the season. But I'm going to say if you can beat Oklahoma State, a team that you've had problems with in the Kleiman tenure, I think that could be a game that gives you a lot of momentum as you go into October and November.
I mean, K-State against KU, that's K-State's last chance in this year's schedule to beat a top 25 Big 12 championship game contender at home. The last one of the schedule will be on the road at Iowa State, and I'm not quite sure how good I feel about K-State's road schedule right now. I mean, that's tomorrow's question, and because you got road games, Colorado, BYU, Iowa State, West Virginia. I mean, that's a big one as well. I mean, K-State potentially losing a couple of those road games obviously makes the home schedule very important. You got to win all those conference home games. KU's that last one against a quality opponent, most likely. And a big part about getting to the Big 12 championship game is beating the contenders that are on your schedule. You got to beat the games you're expected to win, of course, win the games you're expected to win the games that are 50-50. All right, what do you think, Troy?
One of the games that we've already talked about at length in our making predictions has been the West Virginia contest. And while I don't see that as necessarily the swing game, it plays into my thinking a bit because the week before that is K-State at Colorado. And I think that that could be a swing game because of the fact that you're looking at a situation where you're having to play Mountain Time Zone on the 12th of October, turn right back around the next week, and you have to go to the East Coast. And I call that a swing game because if you perform poorly in that contest against a Colorado team that everybody expects to be near the basement of the league, but weird things can happen in the lee of the Rockies, I really, at that point, say then that West Virginia contest gets an exclamation point put behind it before the KU game. And so I see the Colorado game as being kind of a swing one just to ensure that minds are right going into what I feel are two of the most important games of the season back-to-back. The West Virginia contest and then the Kansas contest. I think that that's the swing game because you have to be mentally ready to make that trip the other direction the next week.
There's a lot of games on here that you can make a good argument for, and just a couple of more thoughts about why the KU game is my swing game goes back to where you're going to be at mentally after if you were to lose that game. Like, what would it do for the rest of the season? Like, you hope to go, well, what is it, 3-0, 4-0 the rest of the way, which, I mean, after that is Houston, Arizona State, Cincinnati, Iowa State, with the question of Iowa State. The next three, you should absolutely take care of business, and you feel like, take care of KU, you're in a really good spot, hopefully, at that point that take care of business at Iowa State, get a win, you're on your way to the Big 12 championship game.
Right.
All a possibility. What's unfortunate is whoever that team is, whenever it happens, it will happen someday. But whenever it does happen, that team that does end up losing the streak to KU is going to be tainted. Like, it's going to be remembered as the team that loses. I mean, my question is, where are you at mentally if you lose that game?
That's a great question.
Because social media, the fan base is going to lose it if it happens with a team that can potentially be a college football playoff team.
Yeah.
That can be mentally frying.
And especially as you continue to see improvement out of Kansas. And again, all respect to what Lance Leipold is doing over at KU. If that program continues on its path, it's going to be challenging more and more and more. And K-State's going to find it that much more of an effort to even be able to keep that string going. At a point, the odds become a declining number for you in terms of keeping that streak going. And it becomes tougher, and it becomes tougher, and it becomes tougher. You know, I had this conversation a number of times because when Tad Boyle was coaching at Northern Colorado, of course, he was on the last team that lost to K-State in Manhattan before the end of the streak in the 2000s.
2006.
And
or is it the home streak you're talking about?
The home streak.
Okay. 2008.
And he would be called every year by someone in the media from the state of Kansas. Sometimes it would be Arn.
Shout out to Arnie Green.
Sometimes it would be, at the time, Kevin over at the Cap Journal, guys that were building their stories and continuing to discuss what had become this streak. And he hated it. He hated it because it was constantly pointing out that he was on that last team that lost to K-State in Manhattan, having played at KU. Take that feeling and just multiply it how many times over. If you're a K-State player and you see this streak go by the board at any point, but especially if it's in the midst of a year where you think that you have that shot at the conference title. Absolutely.
I look at K-State's schedule, and I would assume most would agree that it's front-loaded when it comes to conference play because your first five are BYU, road game, home against Oklahoma State, you're at Colorado, at West Virginia, and home against KU. So there's that's half of your road schedule. That's half of because you're playing 5 road games. So you've already played 3 of them. You survive and go 2-1. You take care of the home games, and then KU's coming up. You take care of business. You are absolutely in the driver's seat and probably expected to go to the Big 12 championship with what's left on the rest of the schedule. With the only real threat to kicking you out of that opportunity is Iowa State at the end of the season. Who knows what kind of chaos is going to happen within those next 3 weeks as you assume K-State will just take care of business against Houston, Arizona State, Cincinnati, who are all 3 in a row, 2 of them at home, and all 3 expected to potentially be the worst 3 teams in the conference.
Oh, it is going to be one whale of a closing stretch this season, isn't it? When you look at what college football is going to be in those final handful of weeks and the positioning for college football playoff spots.
It's chaos every year.
It's going to be ramped up that much more this year. I just have a feeling.
Well, the only problem is now there's going to be chaos happening at the same time on multiple channels, and hope you got like on YouTube TV, you can watch 4 games at one time. So that's why I invested in a big old TV so I can watch the games a lot easier. I'm not trying to squint at my old 34-inch. I went more than double.
I was going to say.
For that very reason, I could watch 4 games at once easily.
Yeah, you aren't pulling that off on the 34.
No, it's too hard. I tried for a year.
Yeah,
but it is a great
I get
perk.
it. I get
It
it.
is a super great perk. But yeah, that October 12th game, because I remember, I can't remember now who's all listed, because I know it's Ohio State, Oregon. That's the big one. I mean,
Yes.
it's probably college game day. For us K-Staters, it's Will Howard versus Kobe Savage, two guys that transferred out, got that bag, and it's going to be fun. It really is. I mean, I say fun. I can't wait for college football to get here, because hopefully we can put some of this off the field stuff in the rearview mirror for a while and just watch college football, even though we're getting into crazy, over the limit amount of teams and conferences these days, and it's just going to continue to grow. And the integrity of college football, I think, is going to get worse and worse with these super conferences.
Yeah, at a point, forget about it. Let's just go to the divisions that we have in the NFL and figure it out from there.
Well, I'm going to say just, enjoy the four major conferences while you have them before the ACC's done, and then you're down to 3. It's only a matter of time before the ACC implodes.
Good grief.
My opinion. I mean, obviously,
you're right.
Florida State, Clemson leading that charge.
Oh, boy.
I have to look up the October 12th slate, because it is pretty stacked, but of course it's stacked with SEC, Big Ten. But go look, talking to you listeners here, go look at the schedule on September 28th. I'm just saying, keep an eye out for that one, because as it's stacked right now, obviously it's going to change, as that'll be, at that point, a month into the college football schedule. If you're all about college game day for the first time since, 2000 of being in Manhattan for football, maybe that Oklahoma State game could be a possibility. All right. That slate, K-State, Oklahoma State, could be the best game that week. At the very least, college football.
Right.
Big noon kickoff.
Right.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I know Troy and AJ want to get something off their chest about a potential change for starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. Those details are coming up next. You're listening to The Game.
Your home for K-State sports.
Line. He's in. Touchdown, Kansas State in 4 overtime.
This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
All right, we are back in the game. Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, and AJ Shaw. We take it to 6 o'clock. No Royals tonight, but they'll start a 3-game series tomorrow night at the Cincinnati Reds. I've left 5 o'clock wide open here on the rundown for the boys here. That's because I got a little something special coming up. A little celebration, actually, coming up.
Oh, okay.
In the 5 o'clock hour. So the boys are going to have fun with that. We'll get to that, obviously, after CBS News at the top of the hour.
Sucks Trey has to leave early.
Well, I've talked to him about that a little bit, and he's got to do some K-State soccer PA tonight, which, by the way, the Cats open up the season tonight at Boozer Family Park officially. Regular season schedule against the Nevada Wolfpack, who are in town. For a 7 o'clock kick at Boozer, probably 7:05 officially.
7:05, 7:02's anthem.
With ESPN Plus on the call.
Yes.
Brian Smaller and Oscar Montenegro on the call. I wanted to bring up this baseball topic because 2023 was a pretty big year for rule changes, right?
Yes.
Because you implement a whole bunch of stuff with the pitch clock. I'm going to probably forget some things, but the pitch clock, limiting pickoff attempts. What
Disengagements.
Gosh, there's probably more I'm not even thinking of, but I know there's more.
Well, the mandate that if you utilize a reliever, they have to face 3 batters.
That was a 2020 rule.
2020?
Mm-hmm.
It was the most radical year for rule changes probably since the implementation of interleague play in '97.
Didn't they – last year, did they eliminate the shift? Was that another one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, and the whole pickoff attempt thing, like, hey, we need more booing in baseball. If you eliminate the pickoff attempts from the visiting pitcher, you're taking away some booing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We need the people to get tired of the pickoffs, and we got to hear it. More of the human element of the game.
Yeah, well, okay, there's that.
Got to keep the people involved, you know? All right, anyway. Troy, you want to tell us about what the Commission of Baseball is thinking about doing?
I about fell out of my chair when I saw this, actually. A mandate that every starting pitcher must pitch at least 6 innings in an outing. 6 innings. No 5 1/3 unless they've given up 4 earned runs or are injured. Yeah, the look on your face is
So
like,
we're going to have guys start faking injuries. My elbow.
you're asking the umpires to have to enforce that now.
It's 7-0 in the third. I've thrown 60 pitches. My elbow.
Or if they've reached 100 pitches before they get to the full 6, which also means that they've likely given up the 4 earned runs.
All these thresholds.
Correct, yes.
Well, I mean, my first reaction actually to that is that kind of makes things really confusing at first. It's with all the guidelines and thresholds and like criteria you have to meet to be pulled at a certain time. Mm-hmm. That can get real messy and confusing.
Well, and then on top of that, let's throw in a little twist to it. The Tampa Bay Rays and their love of utilizing an opener. Someone who goes 1 or 2 innings. The Royals did it some last year because the starting pitching was so bad.
Like have a platoon day or something?
Well, yeah, or Johnny Holstaff Day that they used to talk about. But, if use an opener because you've got someone who's maybe not necessarily great at starting a game, but they're very good long relief. And so you bring in someone else to do the first couple of innings and then go from there. It's called it's called an opener. That's going to be out the window. That'll drive some of the sabermetric folks just batty because they say that actually is a helpful thing to go to approach it that way.
So, and AJ, do you want to speak on this before I admit? Because my question is is this actually likely, putting a minimum on the starting pitcher? I mean, what's the chances of that actually happening?
It's Rob Manfred that is headlining this. So it's probably pretty big at this point that it's going to happen.
Okay, so why? What's the point?
Because the feeling, at least from the Major League office, is that the starting pitcher has had its stardom diminished by the fact that pitchers don't go nearly as long as what they used to. I mean, we talk about the rarity of someone like Seth Lugo going 7 innings, 8 innings, as we've seen this year, or Cole Reagans. And, quality starts has been a stat that the Royals have racked up a lot of this year with that pitching staff. And they're one of the rare teams that is in that position, though. As of right now, the number is less than 5 1/3 innings per start on average for a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. That's down almost a full inning from 10 years ago.
So let me see if I get this straight. So because starting pitchers aren't going as long, they feel like the star power in baseball is diminishing, so maybe less people are watching because there's not as many stars as starting pitchers and recognizable faces and names.
There's also a concern that teams have gotten too delicate in their developmental systems in limiting the numbers of pitches that starters are throwing at the AA and AAA levels, especially, and even lower. But there is a concern there then that they get to the majors and they've not been stretched out enough, and it's causing some of the injuries that we have seen starting pitchers go through. Now, you're going to have the players probably argue that a bigger factor in that is the pitch clock, more so than what their pitch count is, at any point in the minors before coming up to the majors.
See, I didn't have a problem with the pitch clock. I don't mind trying to speed up the game a little bit, but when you in multiple angles are zip tying a manager's strategy on what they've known about baseball their entire lives and changing the game in a matter of meetings.
The clock doesn't alter strategy all that dramatically much.
No.
That one is an understandable move.
Just let's keep this going, guys.
Correct.
It's not just the pitcher.
Correct.
It's the batter as well.
And that, I think, is where the disconnect is going to come on this matter, because this seems like an overly onerous rule to be putting in place, because you're absolutely right. It dictates, it mandates something that you are completely taking away from a manager then. And forces teams to have to perform a certain way. I'm not necessarily a fan of the have to face 3 batters as a reliever either, for the same reason.
Yeah, depending on what's coming up in the matchups. What do we got? Righties? We got lefties?
Yeah, it slows the game down. I understand that, but the pitch clock helps eliminate some of that.
Hey, fans, go get a beer. Go get a hot dog during this pitching. You got a couple of minutes. It's not like 2 minutes is very long. All right, let's take a break. We got CBS News coming up in hour 2 of the game. Got a little surprise, a little celebration for the boys after this timeout. It's going to take up probably most of hour 2. It's going to be fun, I promise. Stick around, hour 2 of the game coming up next.
Picture it, Junction City, Kansas, 1884. A businessman organizes the Central Kansas Bank. It has a fireproof vault, a burglar-proof safe, and a time lock to secure deposits. 140 years later, and Central National Bank is still one of the